It all came to me this morning. I just wanted to Google Trump and infinity, and I had no idea that he had been, dropping all these clues to us about Thanos and infinity. He actually had, with his team, made himself look like Thanos. Now you have to remember, Thanos was in the Avenger movies and he dies at the end, but he has the hand of God, right? He has the infinity hand on. And so this is why he was dropping all these clues to us. And they're saying, why would he do that? Because eventually Thanos dies in the movie. Well, we know why, right? But I couldn't believe that this was all just fell in my lap this morning. I had to share it with you guys. It's even in the New York Post, that it's showing that Trump text, with this Avenger movie with him as Thanos. And they're saying it's confusing because it doesn't make sense because he's supposed to die. Why would he use that as part of his campaign? The quote is saying, I am inevitable. And then here it says, sorry, Donald Trump, it can't be infinity. And he actually does a quote with infinity in it. So this is all linking to Pi Day on March 14th, the blood moon in the year 2025. So it's Pi is infinity. And 2 days later, on March 16th, it's the festival of the hand of God. So that's why he's showing the hand, and he's quoting infinity because of Pi Day and this Hand of God festival on March 16th. So, and then the Ides of March on March 15th. So if you haven't watched my last two videos, part 1 and part 2, you need to do that to really understand how this all links mathematically to the blood moons and to the Bible. So this is his quote. This is infinity here. It could be infinity. We don't know, but it could be. It has to be something, but it could be infinity, right? He sounds like an idiot, but he's just dropping the word infinity to bring it to our attention. Just like Plato said, all is numbers, right? Numbers is God. So infinity is God. So this is why they're, making us pay attention to the word infinity, because it has the date of Pi Day. Pi Day, March 14th. The original Pi Day, 1592 at 6:53 a.m. And I explain all that in my last videos. President Trump's infinity trade war. Infinity culture war. What now for Trump's Hollywood supporters? They're using the word infinity all the time. Melania Trump is a petty biatch, part infinity. Using the word again. There is no evidence of fraud in the mail-in ballots, part infinity. It's everywhere. There's even products on Amazon. Ugly folks and chumps over here. Trump infinity pullover hoodie. It's basically everywhere. There's even this Trump infinity bracelet that you can buy. Like in all movies, they use Greek mythology. So the word Thanos comes from Thanatos. He is the personification of death. Also, the god of oath. Trump has also used the game over, which is all tied to the Game of Thrones. And, sanctions are over. He, is using that. But it's saying here, this video released confusing new video that Trump turns himself into Thanos. But they're also showing the Game of Thrones, how he's using the Game of Thrones and how he shouldn't be and all this. But the point is, in this picture, he has his back to you, okay? And the reason that is because the constellation, the 13th constellation, the upper house of Scorpio, and Scorpio rules death, and Pluto rules Scorpio. The upper house of Scorpio is ophiuchus, and originally Ophiuchus had the snake and walking away from the zodiac, with his back to us. Now he's depicted with his face showing, but originally he had his back to us. Trump has shown us, holding this pole with this snake at Halloween. He took it from, a young child that she was dressed up as an Egyptian princess. And he took it and he waved it at the reporters. He's also done many times at rallies where he's recited the snake poem. So here it's saying the Ophiuchus constellation is associated with the figure of Asclepius, the famous healer of Greek mythology. It was one of the constellations first categorized by the Greek astronomer Ptolemy in the 2nd century. Sometimes it is also known by its Latin name, Serpentarius. Okay, so it's the serpent. Ophiuchus is generally depicted as a man holding a snake, representing by the neighboring constellation Serpens, which is divided into 2 parts by Ophiuchus: Serpens caput, which is the head of the snake, and Serpens cauda, the snake tail. The snake is usually depicted coiled around his wrist. Even though Ophiuchus is one of the constellations that cross the ecliptic, which the sun passes through, and there have been attempts to include it among the signs of the zodiac, it does not belong to the zodiac family, but to the Hercules family of constellations. So Hercules is the hero, right? And it's the doorway out of here. And of course, you know, to get the 3 crosses, you need an even number. So they're not going to put the 13th constellation into the zodiac because it's like the hidden door, right? It's the hidden door because Pluto's the hidden door on the Kabbalah tree. So it's you have to go and seek it and find it, and then you will heal. And once you heal, you can move on to the next upgrade through your soul. Now, Ophiuchus represents the caduceus, the medical symbol. It also looks like a doorway. They say it looks like a moth, but it's like a doorway. I believe it's the doorway out of here. And it ties to the Asclepian temples, okay, which were healing temples. So they're saying here in Greek mythology and religion, Asclepius was the god of medicine, the descendant of the god Apollo. Okay, so Trump is always like showing Apollo in his apartment. All his decorations in there, the gold apartment in New York, was all to do with Apollo. Starting around 350 BC, the cult of Asclepius began increasing in popularity. He was admired for serving people despite their class and social status, which was not a common practice by the Olympians. Doctors claiming to be the direct descendant of Asclepius referred to themselves as Asclepiads. Asclepius is further survived in modern times with the symbol of the snake wrapped around the staff, which is seen throughout the medical infrastructures as well as the American Medical Association in modern time. It is reminiscent of the staff Asclepius carried. Now, this one snake around the pole, which is, the caduceus, half of the caduceus, because one snake bites you, which will be the COVID smart patch. They showed that in the Outlander show where she was the healer and she had to take a fang of a snake to be the needle because somebody broke her needle that was from the future. And so she wanted to heal somebody, so to make a needle, she needed the viper bite, okay, like the snake, the fang. This carving is on Timber Island, where the Asclepius temples were. And this is the island, okay? So people would go there to heal. And you can see it says, being the seat of the ancient temple Asclepius and later a hospital. Okay, now what's interesting, JFK's grandkids sang this song called Timber. And everybody thought it was about George Bush Sr., but I'm starting to believe this is about Asclepius, aka Trump. Now Pluto is on the Tree of Life in the Kabbalah. He is the way out of here. Okay, now Pluto has 5 moons. Charon, which is the ferryman that takes you over the river to the other side where heaven is, okay, for freedom. But you have to pay him with a token. The river Styx, you have to cross the river Styx. Now, he has the moon, Charon. He has Styx. They have another moon named Nyx, and Kerberos, and Hydra. Hydra is the snake, which I showed you on March 14th in 2025, how Hydra is biting the heels of the horse, which is tying to the biblical passage. It's on the horizon at that exact time at 3:22, the skull and bones number, when the red moon happens, okay? The blood moon. Okay, so now Nyx, we have to look into Nyx because this all ties back to Thanos. The reason Pluto is so important is Pluto is your soul. Okay, he decides what you came in to learn and where you're going. Okay, on your soul journey. So this is why all his moons are relating to becoming free from this realm. So the real spelling of Nyx is Nyx. Okay, so she is the goddess of night. She's the shadow, okay, which is part to do with your soul as well, the shadow of your soul, okay? So now she has children. One of her children is Thanatos, which is death. There's Hypnos, which is sleep, and Chorus, which is destruction and death. There's Morris, which is doom and destiny. And it's because really to ascend from this realm, you have to get control of your emotional being, okay? You have to be in bliss state. You can't always be in this kind of root chakra state of survival mode. She even, one of her children is Eris, which is discord, strife, okay? So this is all her children here, but Thanos is one of them, and he's death. Thanatos has also been portrayed as a slumbering infant in the arms of his mother Nyx, or as a youth carrying a butterfly. The ancient word can mean soul or butterfly. So the butterfly is your soul, or life, amongst other things, or wealth of poppies. So he has poppies as well. Now the poppies is tying with hypnos. Poppies were associated with hypnos as Thanatos because of their hypnotic traits and eventual death engendered by over exposure to them. Okay, so according to Sigmund Freud, humans have a life instinct, which is named Eros. Now, Eros is Cupid, okay, and he, kind of, when he spears you, you end up going, you full of love, but you end up going to the other realm. So he's saying Eros and a death drive, which is commonly called, through not by Freud himself, Thanatos. So it's like this instinct to self-destruct. This postulates death drive allegedly implies humans to engage in risky and self-destructive acts that could lead to their own death. Okay, so, which is kind of what Trump is representing death, but when they have Eros in there, they're saying the death is to get to the other side. Okay, you have to understand Greek mythology and what they all mean. So you can get confused when you read this stuff because you're like, oh, death, but it really means death of this from this realm. Okay, so it really means ascension. They've even named a snake in Europe called an Asclepian snake. The Asclepians' temples were healing temples. They were part of the dedicated to Asclepius, the first doctor demigod of Greek mythology. Asclepius was said to have been a skilled doctor that he could raise people from the dead. Okay, so he is the healer that brings you back to life. Okay, and that's why Trump is depicting himself as Thanos, because you're going to be born again. Okay, if you can see through the realm, and it's not about getting all stressed out and being in war. Okay, that, yes, you need your flame to ignite, and you need to see that something's wrong with this realm because we've all been in a hypnotic sleep state. But once you see it, you have to see the divinity in it, that it's all divine, because you need darkness to see the light. Okay, it has to be chaos to see the light. But don't get stuck in the chaos, because then you're on the pillars, right? And then you're just in such stress mode when especially when Trump dies, most patriots will go into total remorse. You cannot ascend at that time. So I'm not sure, I was really thinking October 28th was all ties to the Osiris festival, right before the election would be the time that he would be taken out, and that's why they put the gravestones in New York City, but they put those gravestones there in March, so this whole Pi Day, Infinity Day, which is March 14th, it's all about infinity. Maybe he dies that day. and then, he resurrects and comes into the other realm. He's not dead. It's like a fake death here, right? And the coif, the Q, the back of the head, the same as, the same as when they moved JFK's body. It was on Pi Day, right? It was on Infinity Day, when they put him into the memorial with the Q. Okay, so this is all, I did this all in my last video, but I don't know exactly when they're going to take him out. Those are my two dates, but his role is to be taken out. He will like, just like in the Avenger movie, he turns to dust. Okay, he's the phoenix rising out of the ashes with his hand on him, the hand of God, infinity. It's so weird because I was studying all this last night, and then I just woke up this morning and went, oh, I better Google Trump infinity, and then it all connects, right? So this is how he did the healing in these temples. The first stage was the katharos, or purification stage. This is through art. The patient would then make an offering, such as money or a prayer, to the temple, therefore to Asclepius. And I read, they do a purging, like in a series of baths and purging, but you have to get rid of pity and fear. Okay, so that's the first stage. Okay, now the second stage ties into hypnosis. Afterwards comes the incubation or dream therapy. Patients would sleep in the apaton or the echometeron, which was a dormitory located in the Asclepian, which is like the temple. Here they would be lulled into a hypnotic state, likely induced by hallucinogenics, and begin their dream journey. As they slept, they were visited by Asclepius or his daughters Hygeia and Panthea. These dream visitations were prognostic in nature, revealing the projected course of the disease and ultimate patient's outcome. During this time, patients would also discover what it was they needed to do once they woke in order to treat their disease. Upon awakening, the patient would recount their dreams to the temple priest, who would then prescribe a treatment based on their interpretation. Other dreams were less direct and more symbolic. The physician, priest of the Asclepian, were also master dream interpreters, which would divine the treatment to followed from the patient's account of the dream. The god Asclepius had certain totem animals in which guise he liked to visit the patients when they slept. These were the dog, the rooster, and of course the snake. Now this is very much like the shamanic native tribes would use, like Native Americans. It's shamanic healing, right? So this is what this is all about. And this is how humans really heal their body. This is true healing. And the whole pharmaceutical, which is where they put the hand of God in the constellation Cercinus, which her original name was Pharmakmikio, which is poison and sorcery. Okay, so the Freemason compass is where NASA put the hand of God, which is like Thanos' hand, but she represents poison, which is pharmaceutical. Okay, so the true healing of the body is done through the dream state. Okay, it's a hypnotic state that you have to go into, and you have to purify your fear beforehand. So this is really amazing because it all comes full circle to healing the soul, healing the body, and it all ties to Trump in the infinity and the pi date, and where the blood moon is on March 14th in 2025. So it's like, wow, my mind's blown, and I can't believe this is just all kind of fallen in my lap today. So I think this is it, guys. This is like the end, and there's nothing more to kind of pin on this date. Bliss to you all.